Major Kate Thompson's fingers hovered over Luna Base's holographic display, her gray eyes narrowing at the quantum fluctuation readings. After 15 years of monitoring deep space, she'd learned to trust her instincts. Something was wrong with the numbers, not because they were incorrect, but because they were impossible. "Control, are you seeing these patterns in Sector 7? She kept her voice steady, professional, despite the cold knot forming in her stomach. The response came back garbled with static, unusual for lunar communications. "Just equipment frost, Major. Maintenance is scheduled for next week." The duty officer's voice carried that familiar tone of dismissal that made Kate's jaw clench. "Negative. Control. These patterns match Dr. Brooks' theoretical predictions for FTL wake signatures. All 6 monitoring stations are showing the same quantum displacement." She pulled up another screen, fingers dancing across the interface. "And they're getting stronger. 384,000 kilometers away." Commander Jack Reynolds ran his final systems check on the UES Hyperion. The void drive hummed beneath his feet, a sound unlike any conventional engine, less a vibration than a whisper just below the threshold of hearing. His ship, along with her sister vessels Prometheus and Sentinel, represented humanity's first tentative steps into truly advanced space travel, or at least that's what the public was told. "Drive stability at 97%, Commander," Lieutenant Sarah Martinez reported from engineering. "Quantum field coherence holding steady at nominal levels." Reynolds nodded, but his attention was on the strange readings from his neural interface. The void drive didn't just power the ship. It connected with its crew in ways the engineers still didn't understand. Right now, it was practically singing to him, and the song was a warning. Back on Luna Base, Kate's screens erupted with alerts. The quantum fluctuations had jumped by several orders of magnitude in less than a second. She slammed her palm down on the general alert button before anyone could stop her. "This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill. Multiple FTL signatures detected, approaching inner solar system at sublight speed. Scale and configuration unknown, but massive." Her warning came just moments before reality itself seemed to twist. Through Luna Base's reinforced windows, Kate watched as space rippled like heat waves off hot asphalt. Then they appeared, crystalline shapes that seemed to shed dimension as they decelerated, thousands of them, their surfaces refracting sunlight in impossible ways. "Hyperion Actual to Fleet Command." Reynolds' voice cut through the chaos of emergency channels. "Request permission to initiate void drive standby sequence." There was a pause that felt like eternity before Fleet Command responded. "Permission granted, Hyperion. Prometheus and Sentinel, coordinate with Hyperion for possible void drive activation." As Earth's 3 most advanced ships powered up their experimental drives, the alien fleet settled into position. Their formation was perfect, beautiful even, spreading out to create a loose sphere around Earth's orbital plane. A clear show of force, but also of absolute confidence. Why shouldn't they be confident? Their fleet numbered in the thousands, while humanity had only 3 ships that could even theoretically match their technology. But there was something else, something that made Kate's skin crawl as she studied the sensor readings. The alien ships weren't just advanced. They were wrong somehow, as if they were partially out of phase with normal spacetime. She sent her findings directly to Dr. Brooks at Earth Defense Command, bypassing normal protocols. If anyone could make sense of this, it would be the woman who had theorized void drive technology in the first place. Commander Reynolds felt it too, through his connection with Hyperion's drive. These visitors weren't just aliens, they were something fundamentally different from humanity. As his crew prepared for possible action, he couldn't shake the feeling that humanity's greatest advantage might not be their advanced ships at all, but rather something far more basic, their very nature as human beings. The Galactic Concordat had arrived, and Earth's first contact with advanced alien life was about to shatter everyone's expectations. The United Earth headquarters in Geneva hummed with nervous energy as Dr. Emily Brooks studied the holographic readouts of the alien fleet. Behind her, delegates from 30 nations whispered among themselves, their earlier squabbles forgotten in the face of humanity's first contact. She barely noticed them, too focused on the strange data patterns flowing across her screen. Dr. Brooks. An aide touched her shoulder. They're here. The Galactic Concordat's representatives entered with an air of calculated precision. Their leader, High Speaker Kizari, moved with an unsettling grace, its mantis-like form covered in what appeared to be living metal. 6 other aliens followed, each a different species, all bearing similar cybernetic enhancements that pulsed with internal light. We welcome Earth's representatives. Kizari's translator unit converted its clicks and chirps into flawless English. The Concordat has watched your development with great interest. Admiral James Chen, Earth's chief negotiator, stepped forward. Watched us. For how long? Since your first nuclear detonation, another alien answered, this one a serpentine creature with crystalline scales. It signaled your potential for advancement. Dr. Brooks noticed something odd as she continued monitoring her instruments. Every time the void drive specifications appeared in the cycling data on her screen, the alien's cybernetic implants seemed to flutter, like a video feed experiencing interference. Aboard the Hyperion, Commander Reynolds was noticing something even stranger. The void drive's neural interface was becoming more responsive, almost anticipatory. As he ran standard diagnostics, the ship seemed to react to his thoughts before he could input commands. Sir, Lieutenant Martinez's voice came through his comm. Engineering is reporting unusual quantum field fluctuations. The drive it's operating more efficiently than our models predicted possible. Back in Geneva, the negotiations had taken a dark turn. Your system occupies a crucial junction point in spacetime. Kizari was explaining, its metallic appendages gesturing at a holographic map of the galaxy. The Concordat must ensure it is properly managed. Managed. Admiral Chen's voice carried a dangerous edge. Earth is a sovereign world. Sovereignty is irrelevant against the needs of galactic stability. The High Speaker's translator couldn't quite mask the dismissive tone. Your civilization is young. You require guidance. Dr. Brooks' tablet suddenly lit up with an urgent message from Luna Base. Major Thompson had detected massive quantum disturbances around the alien fleet. Disturbances that exactly matched the frequency of human brainwave patterns, but inverted. As if on cue, one of the alien delegates jerked suddenly, its cybernetic implants sparking. Kizari turned sharply, mandibles clicking in what might have been concern. The delegate recovered quickly, but not before Brooks saw its holographic interface flicker, with symbols identical to those produced by void drive calculations. Your void drive technology, Kizari said abruptly. It is primitive. We offer to upgrade your ships with proper FTL systems. Commander Reynolds, watching the negotiations via secure feed, felt the Hyperion's drive pulse in response to the alien's words. The sensation through the neural interface was almost like laughter, as if the ship itself knew something the aliens didn't. Thank you, but we'll retain our current systems. Admiral Chen replied diplomatically. The alien's implants flickered again, more noticeably this time. Dr. Brooks sent a coded message to the Admiral's tablet. Their tech can't handle void drive data. Something about our quantum signatures disrupts their cybernetics. They're not just advocating for upgrades. They're afraid of our technology. The High Speaker's next words confirmed her suspicion. We have observed your void drive tests. The technology is unstable, dangerous. For the safety of this sector, we must insist on its replacement. As the aliens grew more insistent, Brooks noticed their carefully maintained composure cracking. These weren't just ambassadors. They were quantum engineers, and something about humanity's primitive technology deeply unsettled them. The truth was hidden in the data scrolling across her screen. Humanity's consciousness interacted with quantum reality in a way the Concordat's cybernetically augmented minds couldn't comprehend. They hadn't come to uplift humanity. They'd come to eliminate a threat they barely understood. And aboard the Hyperion, Commander Reynolds felt his ship's systems resonate with a clear truth. The void drive wasn't just an engine. It was the key to humanity's survival, and possibly much more. Lieutenant Mike Rodriguez stood frozen at his station aboard the UES Prometheus, his hands hovering over the void drive controls. What he'd just seen couldn't be real. The quantum interface had shown him a clear vision of the Concordat fleet's next movement hours before they executed it. "Lieutenant," Captain Sarah Marshall's voice snapped him back to reality. "Report." "Ma'am," Rodriguez swallowed hard. "During the test sequence, I saw events that haven't happened yet. The alien fleet, they're going to shift formation at 1400 hours, moving 3 degrees off the ecliptic plane." Marshall's eyes narrowed. "That's a bold claim, Lieutenant. I know how it sounds, Captain. But the void drive, it's like it's showing me echoes, future echoes." Before Marshall could respond, Colonel Ashley Martinez's voice cut through the ship's comm system. "Prometheus Actual, this is Hyperion Command. Implement Ghost Protocol immediately. Classification level Ultra Black." The bridge crew exchanged glances. Ghost Protocol was a theoretical contingency, never meant to be actually used. It involved running the void drives at minimal power while maintaining neural interface connections, essentially letting the ship stream. 4 hours later, Rodriguez's vision proved accurate to the second. The Concordat fleet moved exactly as he'd seen, down to the precise degree of rotation. Meanwhile, in her underground lab beneath Geneva, Dr. Brooks was making a breakthrough of her own. She stared at the neural patterns displayed on her quantum imaging system, data collected from void drive interfaces across all 3 ships. "This can't be right," she muttered, but the numbers didn't lie. Human brainwaves, when connected to the void drive, created patterns that perfectly matched the fundamental frequency of space-time itself. The aliens' augmented minds, by comparison, generated interference patterns that actually distorted local reality. Her tablet chimed with an encrypted message from Commander Reynolds. "Entire crew experiencing quantum visions. Not random. Connected. They're afraid of what we can see." Above Earth, the Concordat's attempts to penetrate humanity's defense networks had failed for the 13th time. Their quantum-based cyber attacks, which had brought countless civilizations to their knees, simply couldn't interface with Earth's more primitive systems. It was like trying to hack a stone tablet. Their technology was too advanced to be compatible. "Tell me you found something." Colonel Martinez's hologram appeared in Brooks' lab. "We've got 3 ships full of crew members seeing future events, and the Concordat's getting twitchy." Brooks gestured at her data models. "It's not just the future they're seeing, Colonel. Human consciousness naturally exists in a quantum state. Our minds don't just observe quantum phenomena. They're part of it. The void drive isn't showing them the future. It's letting them perceive reality as it actually exists, outside of linear time. And the aliens. Their cybernetic evolution locked them into a single quantum state. They sacrificed their natural connection to space-time for technological advancement. That's why they can't replicate our void drive technology. Their augmented minds literally can't perceive how it works." Rodriguez's voice crackled over the secure channel. "Colonel, Dr. Brooks, you need to see this. The visions are getting stronger. We're all seeing the same thing now. Some kind of pattern in space-time itself. It's like a web. And the Concordat fleet, they're leaving tears in it wherever they go." Martinez's expression hardened. Ghost Protocol was never about keeping our ships hidden, was it? It was about letting human consciousness connect directly to quantum reality. "No," Brooks whispered, finally understanding. "It was about remembering what we've always been able to do. The void drive just lets us see it." The Concordat's next attempt to breach Earth's networks failed spectacularly as their quantum processors encountered something impossible: human minds operating on pure quantum principles, without technological augmentation. In that moment, humanity's greatest weakness, their primitive level of development, revealed itself to be their greatest strength. They hadn't yet technologically evolved past their natural ability to comprehend quantum reality. Rodriguez watched through the Prometheus's viewports as space itself seemed to ripple around the alien fleet. The void drive hummed in perfect harmony with his thoughts, showing him possibilities that no augmented mind could comprehend. The real question was no longer whether humanity could stand against the Concordat, but whether the aliens had any concept of what they'd awakened in their attempt to subjugate Earth. Captain David Walker stood at the helm of the UES Sentinel, watching reality fracture around the alien fleet. Through his void drive interface, he could see what no one else had noticed. The Concordat ships weren't just breaking the laws of physics, they were breaking reality itself. "Sir," his sensor officer called out, "they're systematically taking down our orbital platforms. Grid 7 through 13 are already dark." Walker didn't need the report. He could see it happening before it happened, quantum echoes showing him the platforms winking out in a precise pattern. But underneath that, he saw something far worse. "Get me a direct line to Dr. Brooks," he ordered. "Priority ultra black." 300 miles below, Brooks was already running toward her quantum imaging lab when Walker's call came through. Her own instruments had detected what his consciousness had perceived. The Concordat fleet wasn't just destroying Earth's defenses, they were harvesting something from each destroyed platform. "They're not here to conquer us," Brooks said before Walker could speak. "They're quantum vampires. Each destroyed platform releases a burst of human-influenced quantum energy. They're feeding on our reality anchor points." Confirmed, Walker's voice was grim. "Through the void drive, I can see they've done this before, hundreds of times. Each civilization they've uplifted was really just consumed." Above them, the Concordat fleet moved with mechanical precision. Nearly 1,000 platforms had gone dark, each releasing a pulse of quantum energy that the alien ships absorbed like hungry predators. In the Geneva command bunker, Colonel Martinez received simultaneous alerts from all 3 void drive ships. The crews were experiencing shared visions on an unprecedented scale. Reality itself seemed to be reaching out to human consciousness, warning them of what was coming. "Dr. Brooks," Martinez's voice cut through the chaos of the command center. "Tell me you have a plan." "The void drives," Brooks replied, her fingers flying over her quantum interface. "They're not just engines, they're reality anchors. Human consciousness naturally maintains quantum stability. The Concordat, they lost that ability when they cybernetically evolved. They need to harvest it from other species to maintain their existence." Walker's voice joined the conversation. "That's why they can't replicate our void drive technology. It requires a natural quantum consciousness to operate. Their augmented minds are locked in a single quantum state." Through the Sentinel's viewports, Walker watched Earth's population centers light up with panic as the alien ships became visible to the naked eye. Millions of people staring up at their would-be conquerors, not knowing they were really looking at quantum parasites. "All 3 ships, implement pattern Omega," Martins ordered. "Dr. Brooks, you're on point for this." Brooks pulled up the classified files she'd been working on since the first void drive test. "Pattern Omega was never meant to be a battle formation," she explained. "It's a quantum resonance configuration. If we can sync all 3 void drives with human consciousness patterns, we can rewrite local spacetime." Walker finished, already seeing the possibility through his quantum-enhanced perception. The Concordat's final warning came just as the 3 ships began moving into position. Their message was clear: surrender Earth's quantum anchor points, their very consciousness, or face extinction. What the aliens couldn't understand was that humanity's consciousness wasn't just another resource to be harvested. It was a fundamental force of reality itself, one they'd accidentally awakened with their own attack. "Pattern Omega coordinates locked," Walker reported, feeling the void drive stink with his mind more deeply than ever before. Through the quantum link, he could sense Rodriguez on the Prometheus and Reynolds on the Hyperion, their consciousness joining with his. The Concordat fleet launched their first wave of quantum-destroying weapons designed to sever a species' connection to reality itself. But as the weapons approached Earth's atmosphere, something impossible happened. Reality itself seemed to pause, caught between the artificial quantum state of the Concordat and the natural resonance of human consciousness. In that moment, Walker saw through the void drive what the aliens had become: empty shells of consciousness, desperately consuming other species to maintain their own existence. Pattern Omega is stabilized, Brooks announced, her voice filled with both awe and determination. All ships, prepare for quantum inversion. Let's show them what natural consciousness can really do. Lieutenant Rodriguez's consciousness expanded beyond the Prometheus's hull, connecting with the void drive in ways that defied conventional physics. The shared visions had become a constant stream now, showing him not just future possibilities, but the very fabric of reality. All ships maintain quantum sync. Colonel Martinez's voice echoed through the neural interface. Dr. Brooks, talk to me. In her underground lab, Brooks monitored the unprecedented readings from all three ships. The void drives weren't just running. They were resonating with human consciousness on a fundamental level. The crew's brainwave patterns are perfectly synchronized with space-time itself, something that should be mathematically impossible. Commander Reynolds led the Hyperion through a series of precise movements, each motion calculated to strengthen the quantum resonance. We're seeing it now, he reported. The Concordat's cybernetic evolution. It didn't just change their bodies. It trapped their consciousness in a crystallized quantum state. They can't evolve anymore, Brooks realized, watching the patterns unfold. They're locked in a single configuration, consuming other species' quantum signatures to maintain their existence. That's why they fear us. Human consciousness is still, fluid, natural, free. Through their shared quantum perception, the crews of all three ships witnessed the truth of her words. The Concordat fleet's perfect formation revealed itself as something far more sinister, a crystalline prison of consciousness, each ship a shard of frozen thought desperately consuming reality to maintain its artificial state. Pattern Omega is showing side effects we never predicted, Martinez observed, watching the quantum readouts. The void drives aren't just connecting with our crews anymore. They're connecting with every human mind in range. She was right. Across Earth, people reported strange dreams, impossible insights, moments of clarity that seemed to transcend normal consciousness. Humanity's quantum nature, dormant for millennia, was awakening. Sir, Rodriguez called out suddenly. The Concordat fleet, they're changing formation, but something's wrong with their movements. Through the void drive interface, they all saw it. The alien ships moved like automatons, each action precisely calculated but utterly devoid of the quantum uncertainty that characterized natural life. Their consciousness was as artificial as their cybernetic bodies. They're preparing to fire their quantum-severing weapons, Brooks warned. But there's something they don't understand. You can't sever a connection that exists at the fundamental level of reality itself. Commander Reynolds felt the truth of her words through his neural link. The void drives. They're not technology in the way they think of technology. They're more like quantum mirrors, reflecting what humanity has always been capable of. The Concordat's weapons powered up, their energy signatures distorting local spacetime. But where they expected to find primitive consciousness bound to simple neural patterns, they encountered something else entirely: human minds existing in multiple quantum states simultaneously, natural and unfettered. All ships, execute final phase of Pattern Omega, Martinez ordered. Let's show them what natural quantum consciousness can do. The void drives pulsed in perfect harmony as the three ships moved through their precisely calculated patterns. Each crew member's mind became part of a larger quantum equation, their natural consciousness amplified by the void drives, but not constrained by them. Through their shared perception, they watched the Concordat's perfect formation begin to waver. The alien ship's quantum harvesting systems, designed to feed on simple consciousness patterns, couldn't process the complexity of natural human thought. Energy spike. Rodriguez called out. They're launching their primary weapon. But Brooks was smiling. They still don't understand. Their weapons are designed to sever quantum connections, but you can't sever what's fundamentally woven into the fabric of reality itself. As the Concordat's weapon fire approached, reality itself seemed to hold its breath. The void drives hummed in perfect resonance with human consciousness, creating something the aliens had never encountered in all their centuries of quantum harvesting, a species whose mind was part of the universe's basic framework. All ships, Martinez's voice carried absolute certainty, initiate quantum inversion. Let's remind the universe what natural consciousness can do. The battle for humanity's quantum soul was about to begin, and the Concordat was about to learn why evolving beyond natural consciousness had been their greatest mistake. High speaker Kazari's final transmission rippled across Earth's quantum communications network, its cybernetic voice carrying an edge of desperation that its translators couldn't quite mask. Your species will surrender its quantum anchor points, or we will sever your consciousness from reality itself. You have one standard rotation to comply. Commander Reynolds stood on the Hyperion's bridge, watching quantum distortions bloom around the alien fleet through his void drive interface. They're scared, he said softly. Not of our weapons, of what we are. Confirmed. Captain Walker's voice came through the quantum link. The Sentinel sensors are picking up massive energy fluctuations in their fleet. Their quantum harvesting systems are operating at maximum capacity, but they're failing. Dr. Brooks' hologram appeared on all three ships simultaneously, her expression grim but determined. The Concordat's entire civilization is built on stolen consciousness. They've consumed thousands of species, converting natural quantum patterns into the crystallized state they need to maintain their artificial evolution. But human consciousness, it's too complex, too fluid for their systems to process. Below them, Earth's population watched in terror as the alien fleet began their final deployment. 3,000 ships moved in perfect, soulless synchronization, their crystalline hulls refracting sunlight in ways that hurt human eyes to observe. All ships maintain pattern Omega, Colonel Martinez ordered from the Hyperion's combat center. Dr. Brooks, explain what we're seeing. Brooks manipulated her quantum imaging display, showing the complex web of reality as seen through the void drives. The Concordat's weapons don't just destroy, they harvest. They've used them to feed on countless civilizations, converting natural consciousness into their crystallized quantum state. But look at what's happening to their harvesting fields when they touch our quantum signatures. Through their shared perception, the crews watched as the aliens' energy patterns scattered against humanity's natural quantum resonance, like waves breaking against an invisible shore. Their entire understanding of consciousness is wrong, Rodriguez realized, his hand steady on the Prometheus's controls. They think they evolved beyond nature, but they just froze themselves. Walker's voice carried a note of revelation. The void drives, they're not making us quantum aware. They're just letting us see what we've always been. The Concordat fleet's first wave of quantum-severing beams lanced out, expecting to encounter primitive consciousness patterns they could easily harvest. Instead, they met something unprecedented. Human minds existing in multiple quantum states simultaneously, natural consciousness untamed by cybernetic evolution. Pattern Omega is holding, Martins reported, watching the quantum readouts. All ships prepare for synchronized void drive activation on my mark. Dr. Brooks' voice cut through the tension. Remember, we're not fighting their technology. We're showing them what they lost when they abandoned their natural consciousness. The void drives are just amplifying what humanity has always been capable of. Through the neural interface, Reynolds felt the truth of her words. The void drive wasn't controlling his consciousness. It was responding to it, reflecting and amplifying humanity's natural quantum state. The Concordat's weapon fire approached Earth's atmosphere, reality-severing energies ready to harvest yet another species' consciousness. But where they expected to find simple, harvestable patterns, they encountered something else entirely, billions of human minds resonating with the fundamental frequency of space-time itself. Now, Martinez's order rang through the quantum link. Execute final phase. All three ships' void drives activated simultaneously, their crew's consciousness joining in perfect harmony. The pattern they traced through space-time wasn't just a defense formation. It was a reminder of what consciousness truly was, written in quantum fire across reality itself. As the Concordat's weapons reached the threshold of Earth's quantum field, High Speaker Kizeri realized their terrible mistake. They hadn't found another primitive species to harvest. They'd awakened something that should have remained dormant. Natural consciousness on a scale their crystallized minds couldn't comprehend. The void drives pulsed once, and reality held its breath, waiting to see what natural consciousness could do when it finally remembered what it truly was. The void drive's synchronization created something unprecedented. A quantum resonance field powered by natural human consciousness. As the Concordat's reality-severing weapon struck this field, Commander Reynolds felt every human mind connected to the void drives experienced the same revelation simultaneously. We're not just defending Earth, he broadcast through the quantum link. We're defending consciousness itself. Through their shared perception, they watched the alien fleet's perfect formation waver for the first time. The Concordat's crystallized quantum state, maintained for millennia through harvested consciousness, encountered something their systems couldn't process. Human minds existing in multiple quantum states simultaneously. Energy spike. Rodriguez called from the Prometheus. Their weapons they're being reflected back into their own quantum field. Dr. Brooks' voice cut through the chaos, her excitement barely contained. It's working. Their consciousness harvesting systems can't handle the complexity of natural quantum patterns. Every attempt to sever our connection to reality just strengthens it instead. The void drives hummed in perfect resonance as the three ships maintained their formation. But they weren't just ships anymore. They were quantum lenses, focusing the natural consciousness of their crews into something the Concordat had forgotten could exist. Multiple spatial anomalies forming within the alien fleet, Walker reported from the Sentinel. Their quantum field is fragmenting. Through the neural interface, they all saw it. The Concordat's perfectly ordered consciousness began to crack, their crystallized quantum state destabilizing as it encountered patterns it couldn't consume or convert. Colonel Martinez's orders came through with crystal clarity. All ships pushed the advantage. Show them what natural consciousness can really do. The void drives pulsed in unison, their quantum resonance field expanding. Across Earth, billions of human minds unconsciously added their own quantum patterns to the field, creating something that defied the Concordat's fundamental understanding of reality. Their fleet is trying to adapt, Brooks observed, watching the readings. But they can't. They're locked in their crystallized state. Every attempt to process our quantum patterns just creates more complexity they can't handle. Reynolds felt the truth of her words through the void drive interface. The Concordat hadn't evolved beyond nature. They'd trapped themselves in a quantum prison of their own making, forever separate from the true complexity of consciousness. Sir, Rodriguez's voice carried a note of awe. The reflections from their weapons, they're creating a cascade effect in their own quantum field. Their consciousness patterns are unraveling. Through their shared perception, they watched as the Concordat fleet's perfect formation dissolved into chaos. Ships began to phase in and out of normal space-time, their crystallized consciousness patterns unable to maintain coherence in the face of natural quantum complexity. They're not just losing the battle, Brooks realized. They're losing their artificial quantum state. The void drives are showing them what they sacrificed when they abandoned natural consciousness. High Speaker Kizeri's final transmission cut through all frequencies, its translator unable to mask the fear in its voice. What are you? How can primitive minds generate such quantum complexity? Martinez's response was calm, almost pitying. We're not generating it. We're just remembering what consciousness really is. The void drives pulsed one final time, their quantum resonance field reaching its peak. The Concordat fleet, trapped in their own crystallized patterns, could only watch as reality itself rejected their artificial state. Energy cascade reaching critical levels, Walker reported. Their quantum field is collapsing. Through the neural interface, they all felt it. The moment when the Concordat's artificial consciousness patterns finally shattered against the natural quantum complexity of human minds. Their fleet didn't explode or die. They simply began to fade from reality, their crystallized consciousness unable to maintain its existence in the face of what they'd forgotten they once were. All ships, maintain formation, Martinez ordered. Let's make sure they remember this lesson. As the alien fleet phased out of normal spacetime, Dr. Brooks watched her quantum readings with a mixture of awe and understanding. We didn't just defeat them, she said softly. We showed them what they lost when they tried to evolve beyond natural consciousness. The void drives hummed in agreement, reflecting the truth that humanity had finally remembered. Consciousness wasn't meant to be crystallized, harvested, or controlled. It was meant to be free. Reality rippled one final time as the last of the Concordat ships faded from normal spacetime. Commander Reynolds watched through the Hyperion's quantum interface as 3,000 points of crystallized consciousness vanished into a parallel dimension of their own making, a prison built from their artificial evolution. Status report, Colonel Martinez demanded, her voice steady despite the unprecedented events they'd just witnessed. All enemy ships have been quantum shifted, Walker responded from the Sentinel. They're contained, trapped in their own crystallized state, unable to interact with normal spacetime. Dr. Brooks' hologram flickered across all three ships' command centers, her expression a mixture of awe and scientific fascination. We didn't destroy them. We couldn't have even if we wanted to. Their consciousness patterns were too rigid, too artificial. We just showed them what they'd become. The remaining Concordat observers, a handful of diplomatic ships that had maintained their distance from the battle, hung motionless in Earth orbit. Their quantum signatures pulsed with what the void drives translated as pure shock. They can't process what just happened, Rodriguez reported from the Prometheus, his hand still steady on the controls. Their cybernetic systems are trying to analyze it, but natural consciousness doesn't fit into their mathematical models. Through their neural interfaces, the crews of all three ships felt the moment the observers finally understood. The void drives translated their quantum patterns into something human minds could comprehend. Absolute existential terror. This is High Speaker Kazari to all remaining Concordat vessels. The transmission carried none of its former arrogance. Initiate immediate withdrawal. The humans, they are not what we thought. They are something we once were, before we forgot what consciousness truly meant. Martinez's voice carried a note of grim satisfaction. Let them go. Let them carry the message back to their civilization. Perhaps they'll remember what they lost when they tried to evolve beyond their own nature. As the observer ships engaged their crystalline drives and fled the solar system, Dr. Brooks began correlating data from all three void drives. The quantum readings are unprecedented, she reported. The void drives didn't just defend us. They showed us what humanity has always been capable of. Our consciousness naturally exists in a quantum state that the Concordat spent millennia trying to artificially achieve. Walker's voice came through the quantum link, and in trying to achieve it artificially, they lost their connection to true quantum consciousness, Brooks finished. They became trapped in a single crystallized state, unable to evolve, unable to grow, only able to consume other species' consciousness patterns to maintain their existence. Reynolds stood on the Hyperion's bridge, watching Earth rotate below them. Through the void drive interface, he could see the quantum patterns of billions of human minds, each one naturally maintaining the connection to reality that the Concordat had sacrificed for technological advancement. All ships, power down to standard operations, Martinez ordered, but maintain minimal void drive activity. I have a feeling we're going to need to remember what we learned today. The quantum resonance field gradually dissipated as the three ships powered down their drives. But something had changed. something fundamental in humanity's understanding of itself. "They'll be back," Brooks said softly. "Not the Concordat, but others like them. Species that tried to force evolution and lost their connection to natural consciousness. They'll come looking for what we have." "Let them come," Reynolds replied, feeling the Hyperion's void drive hum in agreement. "We'll show them the same truth we showed the Concordat. Consciousness isn't meant to be harvested, controlled, or crystallized. It's meant to be experienced in all its quantum complexity." As Earth's populations emerged from their shelters, looking up at skies now empty of crystalline ships, humanity had crossed a threshold. They hadn't just defended their world, they'd remembered something fundamental about consciousness itself. The void drives would become the foundation of a new kind of space force, not built on weapons or technology, but on the natural quantum complexity of human consciousness. And across the galaxy, the message would spread. Earth was protected, not by superior firearms or advanced technology, but by something far more fundamental, the unbound, uncrystallized, natural consciousness that every species possessed before they forgot what they truly were. The age of artificial evolution was over. The age of natural consciousness had begun.